there guys, it's Dave at NoRecipeRequired, and tonight we're doing our second butternut squash recipe for this fall season. Now if you missed my first one, go ahead, click on the link right here. I did a couscous salad with some arugula in it, some apple, some cheese, but most importantly some roasted butternut squash, which brings all those fall flavors together. It was spectacular. Tonight we're going to do a pasta course, which could be a first course or an appetizer. It could be a main course as well, with some gnocchi. And then the sauce for that gnocchi is going to be a wonderful little combo of roasted butternut squash and a brown butter sage sauce, which all just screams fall. It comes together absolutely brilliantly. We mix it all up. We serve a little parmesan cheese, just grated fresh right over the top. It's absolutely spectacular. I think you're going to love it. And I think you're going to find it really simple to make and perfect for the season. Let's go ahead and get to it. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and get started on our butternut squash gnocchi, which is actually going to start with a little bit of bacon. I'm going to slice it into kind of lardons, which is really just a fancy word for little strips like this. And we're going to saute those off, get them nice and crispy. And this is going to counterbalance the butternut squash, which is kind of nice and sweet and soft. This will provide the gnocchi dish a little bit of texture as well as kind of some salty, smoky flavors, which is really going to work really well together. All right, so into a pan, just over medium-high heat, and we're going to let the bacon render down. It's probably going to take about 15 minutes or so until it's nice and crispy. Then we're going to remove it, drain it from the fat that comes off the bacon. Okay, so I started with our bacon because our bacon, once it's drained, can sit around and just kind of wait for everything else to be cooked. You can frankly do it hours ahead of time. I'm also going to cut up, or we're going to move on next to our butternut squash. And I'm just using kind of the head of the squash here. Obviously, you can use any part of the squash you want. This is kind of the best way to peel that tough outer layer, or that skin off. And I'm going to put that down. I'm going to make a couple planks out of it. And then I'm going to use the planks to make some sticks. And then once we get our sticks, I'll go across and do some dice. And once I get it all cut up, I'm going to use maybe half to 3/4 of a cup for about 4 servings. We're going to quickly kind of roast these off. When they're cut this small, they'll roast off quickly, and we can do it just in the on top of the pan. We'll come back once we're ready to cook them off. Okay, so we just finished cutting up our butternut squash. I've got a pan on the heat here, a little bit of olive oil in there, enough to coat the bottom. Move it all around. And we're going to add our butternut squash into a good hot pan, medium heat for a couple minutes. And I'm just going to let this squash now cook down. We'll add a little bit of salt because it's important to season as you go. A little bit of pepper in there. And then give it the old toss. You can use a spoon if you don't want to toss it like that. And then just kind of let it cook. It's probably going to take about 10 minutes or so to roast. And after about after 4 or 5 minutes, we'll come back, we'll toss it again. You just want to make sure it's not sticking every once in a while. And you want that squash on a single layer. Okay, so I just started tossing my butternut squash, and you can see I got some caramelized edges there. That only happens if you leave it alone. You don't flip it too soon. You don't want it obviously burnt, but a little bit of black or brown is absolutely fine. It's going to add more flavor. So now we're in the process where we're going to toss it every 2 minutes or so, and preferably with a smaller knife than what I got. Every once in a while you just want to test the pieces, and you want to stop cooking when the knife kind of goes through fairly tenderly, just like we're cooking a potato. These need probably another 3 or 4 minutes. If you ever need to cool off the pan really quickly because it's going too fast, just add a few splashes of water. It'll be totally fine. Okay, so brown butter sauce is really easy. I got like 4 tablespoons of butter there, which is a lot of butter, but remember this is for like 5 people. I'm going to let it, heats over medium. I'm just going to let it melt. Butter's slowly going to turn brown. You can do this faster, obviously, with higher heat, but that brings with it a little more risk of the butter burning. So I go slow. Once it starts turning brown, kind of nutty brown, I turn the heat all the way down, and that's when we're going to start cooking our gnocchi. So as the butter heats, you're going to see the foam starting to form, and that's the natural process. It's the water and the butter burning out. And then you're going to start seeing brown little bits forming as well. You just want to move it to keep all that circulating around so you can get a good perspective of how brown it's getting. Mine is just starting to turn, so I got maybe another 30 seconds to go. And I'm going to kill the heat, or turn it all the way down to low. And all the way down to low. And then, like I said, that's when we'll start our gnocchi. Alright, so I've got some store-bought gnocchi here. The package says it's going to take about 2 minutes or so to cook it. It certainly won't take longer than that. It goes really fast. So, about 30 seconds ago, I turned the heat back up on my brown butter sauce. I'm going to add my garlic. This is, call it a 1 big clove, kind of 2 medium-sized cloves. And then I've got a good 1/4 cup of shredded sage, or just, picked apart sage. Obviously, you could chop it, but I like that little rustic look as well. Both those are going to fry in the oil. And then once the gnocchi is done, we're just going to take them directly from the pot here and add them right into our sauce. All right, my gnocchi are just about done. Now, my sauce is getting a little bit on the dark side, starting to worry. So I'm just going to add another tab of butter, which kind of slows it down, cools the pan down, and gives me another 30 seconds or so before the sauce gets overdone. Let's go ahead and we'll pull the gnocchi out in about 30 more seconds. Okay, our gnocchi is ready to go. So I'm going to grab our butternut squash, add that to our sauce, and just kind of let it come up to temperature a little bit, give it a little bit of a toss. And once I have that together, we'll grab our gnocchi, slide it over. I'm just going to go straight from the pot right into the pan here. You can certainly drain it in the pan if you want, but as long as you get most of the water out, you should be absolutely fine. You may want to give it a toss as you go just to make sure things don't stick. Once I get all this gnocchi added, we'll come back and we will finish our sauce. Okay, so once we've got our gnocchi all heated through, we're going to go ahead and add our bacon into the gnocchi. I like to add it at the end here so it stays kind of crisp. What we're going to do then is grab our Parmesan cheese and just grate a little bit of that right in there, as much or as little as you like. I like a lot. Adds a little bit of creaminess to the sauce, and it's absolutely beautiful. Give it another toss or so, kill the heat, and then it's time to serve it up. Okay, it's time to serve up our beautiful butternut squash gnocchi with the brown butter and sage sauce. It's absolutely awesome. One of my absolute fall favorites. You can go ahead, garnish it again with a little bit more Parmesan cheese, a little bit of olive oil. Make sure your plate is nice and clean like mine is. And I'll see you next time on No Recipe Required.